Hello, today we're going to talk about Neuroresource, brain endurance. Imagine, this is your brain. Inside of it, your Neuroresource, endurance. Every time when you take an action, every time when you think about something, doesn't matter, you think about going to the McDonald's or thinking about some complicated conspirology theories, you spend or waste your Neuroresource. For example, what you do, how many energy you spend when you go to the gym? No. Not how many energy you spend. But let's say you go to the gym, you wake up, you go to the gym, you train, and this amount of Neuroresource is already spent. Great. You go to the business, go to make business, go to your job, you spend this amount of Neuroresource. Okay, you talk to women, you spend your time on your lovely woman or lovely women, you spend this amount of Neuroresource. Comes to family, and you spend this amount of Neuroresource. Actually, this looks perfect. This was a perfect bar. Now, the bar which most of people have. This one. And the amount of Neuroresource available for a regular person in the modern westernized world, which not only westernized but also in East, so it's amount like this. So you're using approximately, I would say maybe 10, maybe 15% of what you're really capable of, what your body, what your organism is capable of. And look, the actions we usually take, it's our generation. We do a lot of scrolling, right? We do a lot of gaming, right? Our generation, we watch porn, right? So the problem is we don't have an energy, and the difficulty. Here's the important moment. The difficulty of every other action or any other thought influences on amount of energy or Neuroresource you're gonna spend. When it comes to porn, it's a deal of 10 minutes, and you're gonna spend this amount of energy, a little bit. When it comes to scrolling, actually, if you scroll for 10 minutes, you would spend this amount of energy. But when you do it constantly throughout a day, from a little and little, it goes like from here to here. Imagine you go to the gym. You know what I'm talking about. If your goal is to do a squat for 300 pounds, you don't do a squat of I would say a barbell, right? Or barbell with a bar. You don't do squats 100 times. Every little time when you do a squat, you waste, for example, you waste a little one, and imagine you do 100 squats, and you wiped out your energy. You wiped out energy, and when you wiped out energy, you cannot go and do your 300-pound squat, which would more likely, which is your main goal, right? So the same thing with scrolling, with porn, with gaming, the same thing with the scrolling, and at the end of the day, you feel exhausted, you go sleep, and it repeats. What's happening to most of us is when we watch some kind of motivational video, right? Or doesn't matter. In some period of your life, you decide it's over. I gotta go to gym. I gotta fix my life, and you start to go to gym, Let's add the gym here. Say the gym. And you think that it might spend this amount of energy, actually. But no, at the beginning of the gym, at the beginning when you're going to the gym, when your body is not used to the pressure and the loads of pounds on your shoulders, the amount of energy which is necessary for the gym is like this. To maintain this discipline, in fact, in the beginning, you have to spend this amount of neuroresource. Obviously, you don't have that amount of neuroresource. And what happens when your bar, in your bar of constant porn, gaming, and scrolling, you put your gym? You damage your brain. You cause so strong damage. You start to feel stress. You start to blame yourself, and the cortisol level, the hormone cortisol, starts increasing in you, creating little fractions in your brain, maybe an insult. That's a thing. And you cannot last long on this amount of cortisol and the motivation. With motivation you can last for a month or less or a little more, but at the end you quit. I experienced that. You of course experienced that. And I'm not talking only about gym. For example, people try to prepare for a law school or for a master's program or for university, try to open a new business. What huge, gigantic amount of energy you need for a business. But you cannot. And you're right, you cannot when you have only this amount of energy. Because the difficulty of creating business requires this amount of energy. When porn, constant scrolling and gaming, requires only this amount of energy. Do you understand it? That's why I feel good. And it's not difficult to go and play CSGO or Dota 2 or Valorant or what you play. That's what I'm talking about. So my goal is to help you to get from here to here. When you have this amount of energy, this amount of neuroresource, and when the gym becomes so easy, when you spend on it only this amount of a neuroresource, for example. Because at the beginning it's very hard to maintain this discipline and go to the gym every day or after a day, right? But all of us know that it's much easier in the future. So our goal is to get to the future. I'm gonna help it to you. It's okay. The same thing with the business. Did you hear the quote that the hardest money to gain is the first $1 million? The second one is easier. The third one is even more easier. The 10th or 100th million is like this. So it's becoming really easy. The amount of energy you'll need for a business when you will do your business actually, only this amount. Not this amount. So what I'm going to tell you about and teach you is I'm going to give you, first of all, principles of how to get here. Then I'm going to give you instruments how to get here and knowledge how to get there. So something like that. And I forgot to add. So look, when you get here, you will be able to, forgot to add. Look, When you get business, this is the profitable action, right? When you make a business, you get money. When you go to gym, you get healthy, you get muscles. You show the people who surround you that you are disciplined. Actually, the gym gives a lot of credit to you in society. But let's talk about the business, right? When you make to that point when business wastes only this amount of energy and brings a lot of money, you can spend so less time on a business and put, for example, gaming here if you want, because I know myself, I am a gamer. I love campaign games. I love for example, a lot of games, right? For Red Dead Redemption or something like that. And it still wastes this amount of energy. But you can enjoy your life gaming. But the problem with gaming is that the gaming doesn't bring you benefits as it brings from a business. And don't tell me, please, that you can become a streamer, right? Let's be serious about it. Of course you can, technically, but the chances are very low. Or you have to do an enormous amount of job to become a very good streamer. The same amount of energy you put on a gaming to become a business gaming, to create a business industry game, business based on gaming, you can take that amount of energy put in a regular business or any kind of business, more profitable. You spend less time, you will get more money, and you'll be happy to come back to your gaming, and you can play it for pleasure, not to entertain purposes. So, of course, you can put scrolling here if you want. You can put, porn. Guys, porn is bullshit. Why you need porn when there's women? It's much better alternative. Actually, this is an alternative. This one is a primary thing, because women is a required component for having a family. A family is very good. So yeah. If you have questions, you can text me on my email or direct messages, or somehow, I don't know.